Patreon.com/the Walk Off Podcast. $4 a month gets you in there.
If you're watching this right now and you haven't hit the like button, Billy, get on it. Bug your brother. Tell him to do the same.
Okay, let's take a little bit of the one signing that maybe hasn't turned out quite the way Blue Jays fans were hoping, is Brandon Belt to date. He has struggled out of the gate. Now, I know that there are some members of the fan base that are just like, he's washed up, it's over. Obviously, he just came off a major knee surgery. He's a veteran, 34 years old, so maybe he's just easing him way
but
himself
this is the
back
best he's felt in years, Scott.
It's the best everyone's felt in years. Where are you at on Brandon Belt, Julia? Do you feel that in the long run he can contribute to this team?
Yeah, I'm not. I don't think that level of concern is justified.
Mm-hmm.
I think some level of concern is justified, and I think that there were always going to be question marks with Brandon Belt. Signing a 34-year-old who just came out of major surgery was always going to be a risk, but it's a risk that the Blue Jays took very knowingly. This is a guy that has won 2 World Series. It's a guy that can contribute in different ways when he is putting the ball in play at all,
Mm-hmm.
which is not happening right now. But
can you have a negative exit velo? Yeah.
Exactly. I mean, he is willing to test that out. No, I'm kidding. But there were always going to be risks associated with Brandon Belt. The sample size is small. It is very, very early in the year. And he's always going to be a good guy to have on the bench. If a month from now we're still having a similar conversation, then maybe it's time to review a couple of points. But for right now, sure, you have every right to be concerned. And I think that with the way that he's been playing, that's very, very justified. But I think it's a little harsh even to chalk that up to, well, he's washed out,
Yeah.
He's done. That's it. Recovery takes time, but it plays in his factor that he's a veteran in that sense, because he's been around. He knows how to do it, right? So if the Blue Jays can still find ways to win, which they are and they will,
yeah,
as Belt figures it out. Belt is never going to be the number one option here. He's never going to be the guy that the Blue Jays turn to in the major moments or when they need that X factor. He is a bench player. He has a very specific role. And if the Blue Jays can get that out of him, then they're going to be happy. Very, very early in the season, I say give him a little bit more time.
I think the organization is benefiting too from the fact that it's not like they're struggling to find guys who can get at bats if Belt's not going. Like, as it is, there's kind of a limited number of ABs here. So, if he takes a little longer, it's not the end of the world.
And honestly, maybe that plays a factor too. And I think we saw that with Whit Merrifield last year, in which he wasn't getting regular at bats and he was coming off the bench for the Blue Jays when he was traded in. And that affected the way that he was playing, because it's just a new role that he had to adjust to. It's like, I'm used to playing every day and all of a sudden I'm not. And that requires me changing my preparation, changing my mentality, changing the physical side of things. So I wouldn't be surprised if some of that is also affecting Belt here. Coming in, adjusting to a new team, adjusting to a new role, seeing new pitchers, all of that can contribute to a guy having a slow start. So,
and that's another thing that I haven't heard a lot of people bring up, but that's a great point, Julia, about him switching leagues. Like, he is seeing guys that he has just never faced in the batter's box before.
Yes. And that's huge, right? We all know that is a big part of the sport, is that familiarity that is created between pitchers and hitters, and trying to one-up each other with every at bat. So Belt is very much at the early stages of building that with a team like the Blue Jays, and even seeing seeing the Kansas City Royals and seeing the Angels. It's going to take him some time to get acclimated to this, just his new surroundings and the pitchers that he's seeing in the batter's box for sure. So, but again, being a veteran plays in his favor here, because that probably means that the adjustment is not going to take as long as it would for a young guy.
So all in all,